Okay, hello and welcome. My name's Sarah McLean, and I'm happy to be here with you today for something new. I'm calling it our first Sunday monthly meditation, and it's a little difficult for me to continue to do it every week or every day. I meditate on my own, but in terms of guiding meditations, I still wanted to be with you. And hopefully this is a good time for you to be here. And if not, you might be listening to this on YouTube. So I was talking about a retreat I went to yesterday. I'm leading a retreat supposedly in Chicago, but I won't be in Chicago. I'll be on Zoom, called the Sanctuary of the Heart. And this will be in about 2 weeks. And if you want to know more about it, you can check my website. But the woman who organized this retreat said, I'm going to be in Ojai, which is just a short distance from here. And she said, would you like to be my guest at this retreat? And it was a divine feminine retreat, divine feminine archetype retreat. And she had us first start, and I'm not going to take you through the whole retreat, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the way we did it and what we came to, because I think it will help you. It helped me a lot. So she suggested that we think about our very first disappointment in our lives, and whatever just came to you right there, our very first injury, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, very first injury. And, really thinking about how that made you feel. For instance, mine was, I had a few, and you probably do too, but I'm just going to share one that I had. I was in my first grade class, and I really had to tinkle. And I was putting my hand up like, I need to go. I was trying to be a good girl, and they never they never called on me. So ultimately, I wet my pants, right? And that's kind of embarrassing. It's first grade, and so my injury there was that I wasn't seen. My needs weren't being met. And what I really want is to be seen and have my needs met and to be honored for what I need, just like you want to probably be honored and seen and have your needs met. So that was the child archetype. We all have one. Then there's the mother archetype, who comes to you and gives you a hug, hopefully, or soothes you or feeds you or takes care of you. But then there's the elder archetype. And this is what we really focused on yesterday. So we paired up, and we're not going to do this in pairs right now, but you can do it because it's within you. So if you think about the first injury, so to speak, or the first assault and not necessarily assault, but first injury to your soul or spirit. And then you ask your elder, wise, goddess, whatever you want to call it, self, the saint that's inside you too. And you say, what advice can you give me? What can you share with me that you know is true? So we paired up, and the woman next to me said, you are safe. You are seen. I see you. I'm here for you. You are perfect just the way you are. Your needs are going to be met. And she had a similar injury in her case, and I won't go into too much detail, except for her mother constantly said, you need to have your hair better than that if you're going to show up in the world. And that's all about her mother's business. And I said to her, you are a shining star no matter what your hair looks like, no matter how you're dressed. No matter what's going on for you, you still shine. And that's a message, I think, for all of us. This is really up for me these days. That's why I ask you what's up for you. But what's up for me is, in America anyway, there's a lot of objectification. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's name calling, camps, so to speak, tribes, so to speak, whether it's political, social, economic, belief systems around various things in the world. And so we're very divided. And I know that's not how we're meant to be. I know that we have a common humanity, one where we all feel pain. We all want to be seen. We all want to be taken care of. And I really want to continue to focus on that. I really want to focus on ultimately seeing each other for who we are rather than what our hair looks like or what we're wearing or where we live or what our labels are, who we vote for, what we choose to do with our bodies or our children, is to be able to be seen and not objectified. I just want to give you another quick story about that because I think you might relate in some way in your world. Is I was at a party the other day, and this man comes up to me and he goes, "Who are you? I mean, what's your name anyway?" And the funny thing was, he had called me a number of times before. He has my name on his phone. And I go, we've talked a lot. My name is Sarah. And he goes, "Oh, okay, I remember now. I'm going to get your name tattooed on my body." I'm like, "Well, you probably shouldn't do that." And he calls me over to a table where he's having dinner. And he goes, "Come over here, Sarah." And I'm staying there. He goes, "She's the famous one. She's the one in the movies. She's the one who's famous and written books." And, that sounds like maybe some accolades, but in fact, it felt so disturbing because I don't think anyone knew who I was or saw me or connected with me as a human being, but only by labels that he was putting on me. Now, how do we do that to ourselves? How do we do that to each other? How do we do it to people in our lives or things in our life? That's really all boiling down to going through life with a beginner's mind, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to share with you a poem called "A Day of Light." This is by a man named Andrew Culliver, and he's still alive today. He's a psychiatrist and a social worker working in Australia. And he's influenced by Mary Oliver, the poet, and David White. He says, "Unbelief is good medicine. Undoing belief is better. All things being free to leave their being and enter silence. The nameless tree with its forest of green, the endless expanse we call the sky, beaks and feathered wings with their urgent conversations, all around the light that sets the vital body to humming, and the dark of recreation. The world held for us in promise until it's loosened from our thinking." So loosened from our thinking, loosened from our labels, loosened from our judgments, loosened from preconceived notions that keep us from seeing. It's like, oh, well, she's this, he's that, that's this, that's that. And ultimately, this is what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is this connection between you, the subject, and that which you're mindful of, the object. And then what's really important is the space between. What is it? Is it full of, I already know what this is? Is it full of, I don't like what this is? Is this full of, I know what that is, I'm not going to pay any more attention? Is this full of, I know? Is this full of labels? Is this full of judgment? And mindfulness really is about paying attention in a particular way, in the present moment, without judgment, right? Engaged in what you're doing while you're doing it. So refraining from judgment. Now, we can't refrain from judgment if we don't know we're judging, right? We can't refrain from judging anything unless we know we're doing it. So that's really an essential for meditation. It is the essence of mindfulness. And that's what I really want to talk to you about today. Have you ever been judged? Have you ever been the judge? Have you ever recognized how that feels in your body? For me, when I give people places and things, experiences, the benefit of the doubt and come in with the beginner's mind, come to each experience, person, place, or thing with the beginner's mind, there's a fullness there. There's an expanded heart, and there's a fullness there. But when I notice I'm name calling, and listen, I do it too, I can feel this contraction. It doesn't feel good in my body. So I just wanted to share that today because there's an element, as you know, if you've been with me before, of inviting a beginner's mind into any meditation practice. I already know what this is going to be like. I already know what I'm going to feel like. I already know I'm not getting where I want to go, or I already know what I'm supposed to do and feel like. So I want to invite you to leave the nameless tree, leave the meditation as nameless, leave your experiences as nameless, The way we communicate, of course, is kind of extrapolated into words. We have to how do I say it? Condense the ephemeral into words so we can share. So sometimes names are important for us to communicate. But in terms of your experience, if you can leave your experience as nameless, refraining from good or bad, better or worse, and all of that. So that is one of the 5 essentials, is to begin with a beginner's mind, free from preconceived notions. Another one is, as we meditate today together, we'll be doing about a 20-minute meditation, is to recognize that your mind is going to get in there and get very busy with ideas and plans and thinking about the future or the past or what you just experienced. And you know that when thoughts come in meditation, ideally you're supposed to bring your attention back to the focus of meditation. Thoughts can be charming. It can charm your attention to another place or time when you're sitting here simply meditating. So what we do is we come back again and again to the focus of the practice. Today we're going to be practicing a mantra meditation, and then we'll follow it up with what is known as the bliss technique, or for those of you who ever read the book Perfect Health, it's called the primordial sound technique. It's a little different than primordial sound meditation. And that Perfect Health book is by Deepak Chopra. So we're going to, I want to tell you more about the essentials. Thoughts are okay. Doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Keep a beginner's mind. Don't have any preconceived notions. There's no need to try hard in this practice. Trying hard can contract. Not trying can expand. It's so nice. Give yourself that freedom. My number 1 value is freedom. Number 4, it should be number 1, but be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself when you're meditating. I mean, you don't have to be actively kind, but notice when you're moving into the self-critical mode and knock it off. And lastly, let's stick with the whole practice, because when we stay with the practice, even though the amygdala, that part of you, that part of your mind or brain that thinks everything is an emergency, every thought needs to be acted upon, that amygdala wants to take over. So what we do is have the attitude of, thank you. I'll get to that after meditation. We don't say it to ourselves, but you can. But recognizing that just because the amygdala is activated for some reason doesn't mean there's an actual emergency. Okay, so we stay with the predetermined amount of time we're meditating for. In this case, it's going to be about 20 minutes. So I'll be keeping track of that time. You don't need to worry about it. Let's see here. Okay, so how do you sit and meditate? Well, I know many of you have been here before, but get comfortable. Ideally sitting upright rather than lying down. Because what ultimately happens is in meditation, you're creating a new normal. One where you're not napping, one where you're awake in the world, one where you're responsive, not reactive, one where you're open and not dull, right? You're aware. And that helps you to be more aware of how you're feeling emotionally, what's going on mentally in your judgments, and what's going on in your inner landscape. And that's called interoception. So we're going to meditate for a while, sitting upright, getting as comfortable as you can. You can lean back. If you're in an easy boy or easy girl recliner, you can do that. And sit with your hands on your lap, either face up, face down, held together. Now you've seen people doing these things, and you can do this. This is called a mudra, these positions. You don't have to do it, but they can change your experience a little bit subtly. So you can also choose to keep your eyes closed, or you can gaze softly to the ground, or you can keep your eyes open if that feels comfortable, but that is an advanced technique. And what else? If you need to shift your posture at any time during the practice, you can do that. And you can feel free to scratch an itch and readjust your posture at any time. So thank you for being here. I'm so grateful to be meditating with you today. So I'm going to invite you to sit comfortably, make those micro adjustments you may need. Close your eyes if you want to. Begin to give yourself some deeper breaths through your nose. At your own pace, breathe in long, slow, deep inhales and long, slow, full exhales. On the exhale, you might want to draw your navel to your spine just to be sure you empty all the air. This sends a signal to your body through your vagus nerve that it's okay to relax. Then letting your breath return to its natural rhythm and depth. And throughout this practice, you'll be breathing naturally. No need to adjust or control your rhythm or your depth. And as you sit here, we're going to begin to be mindful of the sounds around us. So begin to welcome everything you hear. Refraining from judgment of pleasant or unpleasant. Simply you, the subject, and that which you hear, the object, letting everything be as it is. And then begin to draw your attention closer and listen for sounds in your body. You might hear your heartbeat or your breath. Listening to that inner soundscape. And as you're sitting here, you might begin to notice that your attention's moving to the body. So you can begin to invite relaxation, lowering your shoulders or softening your belly. And begin to think now or consider that your attention, without judgment, is like a beam of love. And when you bring your attention to any particular area in the body, that space between you paying attention and that which you're paying attention to is full of love. You might start with paying attention to your face and loving your face. When you notice criticism or judgment or the I know mind getting involved, just go back to loving your face, your eyes, your ears, your nose and your mouth. Even if you don't feel your face is perfect and there's something you need to address, simply love every aspect of yourself in this practice for now. Bringing your attention to your brain, loving your brain, attending to it, noticing it. Maybe you can't feel it, but you know it's here. Loving your throat now. your windpipe, your trachea, your neck, your spine. And everything you pay attention to, simply fill the space between with love. Your shoulders, your arms, your hands. It's not like you are doing love. It's simply your attention is love. And it's not contracted. And as you scan your back, simply practice letting go of any tension and being with whatever sensation is here without judgment. Your chest, your belly, and all the organs in your interior, your heart and lungs, your diaphragm, your liver, your pancreas and spleen, gallbladder, your intestines, your reproductive organs, your elimination organs, moving through the body with the same non-judgmental attentiveness. Your thighs and knees, shins and calf, your ankles, and your, your lovely feet. And expanding your awareness to include your skin, your largest organ, and the junction point between your skin and the chair below you, or your clothing, or the air. And you might even tune into where you begin and end beyond the skin. Perhaps you sense your energy body, and maybe you don't. Perhaps you go beyond the skin, that there is no boundary. Tuning in now to the stillness that's present. And then the subtle movements that exist because you're existing. The swaying, the heartbeat, the tingling, the way the body moves with the breath. Tuning into your aliveness. We'll be introducing a silent mantra now. Simply repeat it as if you're listening to an internal prayer or chant. You may have your own, but if you don't, I'm going to invite you to use the mantra Aham, A-H-A-M. Prema is P-R-E-M-A. Aham, Prema. It means I am pure love. Aham, Prema. You can coordinate it with the breath if you like, or simply repeat it as easily and gently as you like. And as you repeat the mantra, there's no need to force or concentrate or enunciate. A fine feeling. You don't have to feel anything in particular. Let the mantra do its thing without your control. Aham, Prema. There's no particular feeling you should be having, no particular thought. And if you're waiting for something to happen, simply come back to the sound of this mantra. Aham, Prema. We'll be meditating like this for a few minutes, and I'll keep track of the time. And keeping your eyes closed, you can stop repeating the mantra. Simply rest in existence. Rest right here. And tuning in once again to the sense of aliveness. Whether you feel a slight tingling in your hands or in your body somewhere, your heartbeat is calling your attention. Circulation or your pulse. Or some hum you might hear. The vibration of being alive. And now imagine this aliveness, wherever it might be located, to spread throughout your hands and your arms. Your front and your back. Throughout your pelvis. Your legs. Your face and your neck. Your head. You can see, feel, or imagine the quality of this aliveness to be effervescent, sparkly, blissful. Like diamond light on an ocean. The diamond light is within you. There's a mantra that goes along with this practice. It's Amritam, A-M-I-R, or A-M-R-I-T-A-M, Amritam. It means nectar. Feeling the sparkles, the light, and even imagining you're inhaling light and exhaling light. Like photons. Amritam. 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 Invite this light and this aliveness to any area you might not be feeling it. Invite it to show itself, to make itself known to you. We'll do this in silence for another few minutes. We'll keep track of the time. And letting go of the mantra and any technique now, and simply rest with your eyes closed, bathed in your own light. As I sound the chimes, I'm going to invite you to sit with your eyes closed for a couple more minutes. It's always important to come out of meditation slowly, even if you don't think you went very deep. This period between meditation and opening your eyes is very important, so we don't rush. And in the silence, you can ask your internal elder archetype or wise self any question you may have, or ask them for any advice they may give you or affirmation they may share. You might invite some deeper breaths. Invite some movement into the body. And when you feel ready to open your eyes and let a little light out or in, you can do that at your own pace. First with a downward gaze, and letting your eyes open when you feel ready. There's no rush. I'd like to close with Namaste. It means the light in me honors the light in you. The love in me honors the love in you. That's the real seeing. When we can see that in each other and ourselves, that beginner's mind of letting someone shine without labels, without objectification. I don't know how that went for you, but I enjoyed it. Hopefully you did too. So the mantras initially were aham, prema. It might be familiar to some of you, and I'll put it in the chat here. And you can use a mantra in many ways. Mantra simply means instrument for the mind. did I do it? Yeah, instrument for the mind. And it's simply to bring the mind into a more settled space. So it's not so much what the mantra is, it's that you use it. It's pleasant, you use it, and it takes you from the world of mental activity, labels, and judgment into that stillness where we all reside. We all have that in common. And then the technique we used is called the bliss technique, or the primordial sound technique. It's different than the primordial sound meditation. And that mantra was Amritam. And Amritam means nectar. This practice can start in your hands and it can spread throughout your whole body. It can start in your heart, wherever you feel the most aliveness. Now, generally, this mantra, this particular technique is not done right in the beginning for someone who's never meditated, because you have to have that settled nervous system. But I recognize most of you, and I know you have a meditation practice. And if you don't, welcome to the advanced world of meditation. But it's a yummy practice to do, just to recognize that even your own life and that life force is such a miracle and a gift. So I want to stop recording now, but for those of you who want to hang out, I would love to answer some questions, and maybe we'll go into a breakout. If you're into it, I don't know how it's going to go, but we'll see. And for those of you listening to this recording, namaste.